What's up, people? I sent back again with another video, my first video of the year. Let's talk iPhone 15 Pro Max. Launched back in September of 2023 after a couple of updates to fix a couple of issues. This is my review of the iPhone 15 Pro Max. Let's do this. So to kick things off, let's start with the design and the build of the iPhone 15 Pro Max. This year Apple is pushing titanium, so the iPhone 15 Pro Max is built with a titanium frame, with a glass on the front and glass on the back, which is protected with ceramic shield. Apple's ceramic shield is very durable, but it still will break because it's glass, but it's very durable, while the stainless steel has been replaced with a titanium frame, which is more expensive and more durable than stainless steel. Apple has been used to making their phones with very premium materials. Stainless steel is very good and even more durable than aluminum that you find on most of the phones, but now they even shifted to titanium, which is way more expensive and way more durable than stainless steel. And also they were able to curve the edges, which is very good, like in terms of the grip, because the 14 Pro Max, the edges are way too sharp for you to grip. So the 15 Pro Max, they fixed that issue, so no more problem with grip on the 15 Pro Max. And also the buttons are still in similar places. The power button on the right side, the volume up and down on the left side, but then they switched the mute switch and they put a button there instead, and this time they call it action button. And the action button it's good because there's lots of things you can, by default it gives you the switch, the mute switch and stuff like that, but then you can customize it to your taste, to turn on the flashlight, give quick commands and all this stuff. So very good welcome for the action button. And also at the back, classic iPhone design for the camera and stuff like that. So the phone is also lighter. Even when you carry it, you notice that it's lighter than the 14 Pro Max, which is way heavier than the 15 Pro Max. This is just 221 or 23 grams on the 15 Pro Max. After so much pressure, from the European Union and all that, Apple finally was able to change the lightning connector, which they've been using for years. They've been using the lightning connector since the iPhone 5. So now they've finally moved to USB-C, but not even just USB-C, but USB-C with a higher transfer speed. This can go like up to like 10 GB, compared to like 5 GB again on other phones. So in terms of design and build, I've been using it. The material is still holding up very well. I don't think you will really have any problem with titanium frame. So I think it's a very good start for the new year for iPhone. So what about the display? The display of the iPhone 15 Pro Max is a 6.7 inch Super Retina XDR 120Hz display with PPI and resolution that you see on your screen. These days, every company comes with one long name or the other just to confuse us, but it's an AMOLED display, which means you get like very deep black, and very nice colors. So, and the iPhone 15 Pro Max, of course, it's a top-notch phone, so you expect the best kind of display in it. The display is very good, very color accurate, and of course it can get very bright. They were able to switch to 2000 nits of brightness on the 14 Pro Max, and they still keep that brightness on the 15 Pro Max. So it's 2000 nits of brightness. So when you go outdoors, you will have no problem, viewing this. Even on a heavy sunny day, it will light up very well for you to see, and it's very bright, outside. For the display, top notch and nothing to complain about the display. So let's talk about the cameras on the iPhone 15 Pro Max. The cameras are big deal for Apple. Outside the iOS, the next sweet thing for them is the camera on the iPhone 15 Pro series. So, and they delivered here because this is the first time Apple is introducing a periscope camera to an iPhone. They've been lacking behind, Samsung, Xiaomi, and most of all these Chinese brand, because they fitted periscope cameras on their flagship, but Apple is also still using 3x. But that ends today, as Apple has introduced a 5x periscope camera on the iPhone 15 Pro Max. Note, this is only available on the 15 Pro Max. If you are using the regular 15 Pro, it's just only 3x. But if you are getting the 15 and the 15 Plus, you don't even have a zoom camera, like be it telephoto or periscope. So the 5x periscope camera is very good. It's very good. Like I've used it, especially during the day. If you take like pictures, portrait, videos, it's amongst the best you know, especially in videos. I think is the best in video, like, but in pictures is among the best. You know, so here's some comparison between the S23 Ultra 10x versus the 10x on the iPhone 15 Pro Max and the 5S on the 15 Pro Max. Just a comparison between zoom, you see that the S23 Ultra is still ahead, but not by much. You know, Apple is getting closer now. You understand? So outside that, the main camera is still 48 megapixel, but a little bit of upgrade to the 48 megapixel on the iPhone 14 Pro series. Why the ultra wide remains, you know, still the same, I think, and as well as the front facing camera, they are practically unchanged compared to the 14 Pro series, although there are software improvements that will make them better than the one on the iPhone 14 Pro series. And the video is still the best in the business. The video on the iPhone 15 Pro Max is still the best, and you can shoot log, you know, on the 15 Pro Max. And the log footage, you know, this is why most of the content creators you see, they use 15 Pro series because of the 15 Pro series, the iPhone, like, because, you know, log is a kind of neutral video that you take and you be the one to color grade it yourself, just like most of all these digital cameras. And so Apple is doing it, although the file size is very big, but then you will obviously use an external hard drive or flash storage or whatever to record this video. But it's a very good outcome because no other smartphone company like that I can remember that is doing this log right now. So it's something that Apple have over other companies. So let's talk about iOS, the operating system that runs on the iPhone. So the iPhone 15 Pro series launched with iOS 17 on board, although they've given like a couple of update nights, 17.2.1, because when the 17 came up in the 15 Pro series, there was a couple of, you know, controversy with draining battery and like stuff like that, and Apple was able to fix that, although not like permanently, because the battery is still having a little bit of issues. You know, it's not as, I think 17.2 was better than 17.2.1, although 17.2.1 was able to fix the heating issues that was, you know, plaguing some of the applications and all that. But outside that, iOS in general, still iOS that you come to know. You know, Apple had added some kind of more customizations, you know, a little bit more customization and flexibility, like with the action button that I've introduced. Outside that, like typical iOS, still very powerful with how it integrates in the whole Apple ecosystem, you know, when you use other Apple products. So, and still very fluid, you know, very fluid, and the animation still, I think Apple is king of animation. So at this point in time, they are still leading, although with the likes of Xiaomi and, you know, Oppo and all those, you know, Chinese manufacturers, they are up there with them. But still, I think consistency with iOS, it's great, and I love the operating system as well. But the only problem is that there are still lots of limitations of things you cannot do with iOS. You know, still lots of limitations. You can't move your widgets and icons to where you want them to be. We still don't have a clipboard on the iPhone, you know, so, and there's no split screen multitasking on the iPhone still, you know, still lots of things that are lacking. Although hopefully with iOS 18 they'll add more. We'll keep being patient, so they add so much more to the iPhone experience. But outside that, lag free, you know, it's very smooth. I love the operating system. So real quick, let's talk about the performance on the iPhone 15 Pro Max. The iPhone 15 Pro and Pro Max are using Apple A17 Pro processor. So why the 15 and the 15 Plus, obviously they're using the A16 Bionic chip and stuff like that. So Apple have differentiated those things, you know, year after year. They started it from last year, I think. So the A17 Pro is a flagship processor, not as, you know, big of a jump when we move from 15 to 16, but then the A17 is still good, gets a little bit, you know, hotter than the A16. But in terms of performance, I think it's top notch, you know, handles everything like games, ray tracing. Even this year Apple introduced us to some PS4 games, you know, like Resident Evil and stuff like that. So the A17 Pro, it's a very powerful chip, and the fact that Apple is naming A17 Pro, does it mean that we'll get S18 Ultra next year? So I don't know, but in terms of the animations, in terms of games, in terms of how it handles the operating system, the processor is very good. It gets warm, like, you know, when you perform heavy tasks and all that, like you play some heavy games for some time, it gets hot, I can tell you that. Not like hot to the point it gets uncomfortable, but it gets hot. But outside that, the processor, it's very good. There's nothing to complain about the A17 Pro. So there you have it, guys, my quick rundown on the iPhone 15 Pro Max. So right now it's sold on Apple's website $1,200 for the US market, but trust me, if you live outside the US, this phone costs a penny. It's quite expensive for you to purchase. But if you are using the 14 Pro Max and even the 13 Pro Max, like 13 Pro or 14 Pro series, I would advise you not to upgrade to the 15 Pro Max, except you have the money to do that. But if you are coming from like maybe the 12, 11 and all that, of course it would be a huge upgrade for you. So that is it. There you have it, guys. More reviews are coming. Like, I'll get my hands on the S21 Ultra, I'll compare it versus the 15 Pro Max, do my camera comparison and all that. So make sure you subscribe to the channel to be the first to get notified when I drop a new video. And that's it for me on this one. I'm out of here.